Canto 1. Yes. Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 19. 1, 2, 19. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. So now text 19. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye Chaita etar anavidham stitam sattve prasidati tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye Chaita etar anavidham stitam sattve prasidati. Translation: as soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A living being in his normal constitutional position is fully satisfied in spiritual bliss. This state of existence is called Brahmabhuta or Atmanandi, or the state of self-satisfaction. This self-satisfaction is not like the satisfaction of an inactive fool. The inactive fool is in the state of foolish ignorance, whereas the self-satisfied Atmanandi is transcendental to the material state of existence. This stage of perfection is attained as soon as one is fixed in irrevocable devotional service. Devotional service is not inactivity, but the unalloyed activity of the soul. Paragraph. The soul's activity becomes adulterated in contact with matter, and as such, the diseased activities are expressed in the form of lust, desire, hankering, inactivity, foolishness, and sleep. The effect of devotional service becomes manifest by complete elimination of these effects of passion and ignorance. The devotee is fixed at once in the mode of goodness, and he makes further progress to rise to the position of Vasudeva, or the state of unmixed sattva, or Shuddha sattva. Only in this Shuddha sattva state can one always see Krishna eye to eye by dint of pure affection for the Lord. Paragraph. A devotee is always in the mode of unalloyed goodness. Therefore, he harms no one. But the non-devotee, however educated he may be, is always harmful. A devotee is neither foolish nor passionate. The harmful, foolish, and passionate cannot be devotees of the Lord, however they may advertise themselves as devotees by outward dress. A devotee is always qualified with the good qualities of God. Quantitatively, such qualifications may be different, but qualitatively, Both the Lord and his devotees are one and the same. Now, this verse is one of a series of verses in Canto 1, Chapter 2, that outline the stages of bhakti. And the prior verse to this verse is the nishtha. That's what he's referring to as steady or fixed, as opposed to unsteady or anishtita or unfixed. Something and then wavering, stronger, weaker, stronger, weaker, stronger, weaker, unsteady, slackening, absorption, slackening, absorption. So the unsteady bhakti precedes steady bhakti. And just a review, the steady stage is when anarthas become nashta prayeshu, destroyed almost to nil, which means there's residual, but residual that doesn't make for unsteadiness, because when bhakti is sufficiently strong, which is the nishtha stage, the bhakti is sufficiently strong that the residual can't act. It's the darkness can't act when the light is sufficiently strong. However, there may be some wavering of the darkness within a devotee's heart. That is to say, bhakti, like this later verse from chapter 3, the Bhagavad is the light for this dark age of Kali, as brilliant as the sun. The sun diminishes and then eliminates darkness. Light eliminates darkness. But even if that sunlight is not fully arisen and fully bright, mostly the darkness of night is gone as the sun is rising. Similarly, as bhakti is maturing from beginning stage to more mature stage, then residual tendency that like this traces of darkness, some twilight as the sun is rising but not fully above and bright and so forth, there's still traces or a shadow-like feature of darkness. So this verse follows that verse. After the nishtha stage comes the next stage. What's the stage after nishtha stage? Nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhava. So this is used in those commentaries that expand on the stages of bhakti. This is the verse, or this is the characteristics of the ruchi stage. Now, commonly, the ruchi stage is identified primarily with the taste, specifically for hearing and chanting. And when the taste is simultaneously, as the taste for hearing and chanting becomes established following the nishtha stage, then the ignorance and passion influences diminish. And then the ignorance and passion influences are the darker characteristics of both what goes on in the mind, feelings and willing, and then following feelings and willing, behavior that's lusty, greedy, and so forth. there's laws of nature, and regardless of what one's faith in the process of hearing and chanting is, day and night comes. Night follows day, and day follows night, and it just keeps cycling. Bhakti resembles day and night, but it's not a natural. Everyone's going to experience the light fully illuminated. Rather, it's something that's within and that needs to be awakened and uncovered. So it's a different kind of process than the rising of the sun and setting of the sun, because there's some similarity, and there's some distinct difference. Yes, it's natural to awaken Krishna consciousness. Yes, the process of awakening of Krishna consciousness is a fully natural process. However, it's not natural that as the sun rises every morning, that everyone in the course of this life or the next life is going to revive their Krishna consciousness. That, in other words, the intervention of one who's carrying bhakti is needed. Sadhu Sangha is needed. And sadhu, what do sadhus do? They infect or they transmit bhakti. And if the infected or receiver of that transmission becomes moved, not always do people become moved, but when those who do become moved, then their bhakti life has begun. And so this stage of where ignorance and passion, and then their corollaries, we'll read the list. There's 6 items mentioned. Lust, desire, hankering, inactivity, foolishness, and sleep. Lust, desire, hankering, inactivity, foolishness, and sleep. So those are the effects of the modes of nature that are reduced and, one can say, eliminated, or what is protected from those trace features. So in other words, they may not be completely gone, but they're reduced, just like the mode of goodness, because that's in the verse itself. Stitvam sattve prasidati. Sattva has a mix of ignorance and passion. It's not completely gone. That comes later in this evolution of bhakti. The later is the bhava stage. And so the reference is made to the bhava state, although it's not specifying the bhava state, the shuddha sattva state, or unmixed sattva. Vasudev, unmixed sattva, shuddha sattva. And then in that state, it was not just by knowledge that's been gained, but by Krishna's reciprocating with that more advanced or more accomplished or more matured bhakta, where one can see Krishna at all times. That is to say, he reveals himself. Now, how does he reveal himself? Depends on how he wants to reveal himself. Within one's mind, within one's heart, before one's eyes, or however he wants to. And then even further, like he did with Narada, to appear and then disappear. So that explicitly the voice that Narada heard said, so that for the rest of your life you'll hanker to see me again, but you won't see me again. That's it. But at the end of your life you will. So he was the hankering. It's a big part of bhakti. Hankering for what? And in Narada's case, again, seeing the Lord, but it's not just seeing, engaging with. in a very personal way, engaging with, being in the direct personal association with, and then directly serving. These are described as desires, transcendental desires that are corresponding to the bhava stage and the prema stage, or even prior to that, still in the sadhana realm, in the asakti or attachment, but the attachment to an object that is not visible before your eyes. You want it to be visible before your eyes. You want to touch the Lord, be with the Lord, etc., etc. The cowherd boys, they were with the Lord constantly. They were touching the Lord and seeing Him, and you know, enjoying life like little kids enjoy life, but without the touch of ignorance and passion, or even the material mode of goodness. They were in the fully transcendental position. Very, very special opportunity, especially qualified souls, to get to that very special position. Is gradual, gradual. So this verse is in the prior preliminary. Rajas and tamas diminish. I'll read the verse again. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established within the heart, that's the prior verse, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Now, the hankering means the material hankering. And, in the purport, there's out of the six, desire is one of the six. So it's not that one becomes desireless in the sense of an impersonalist, desire less, but desire in the material field less or absent. But spiritual desire, then it makes room for spiritual desire to amplify and amplify and amplify. That's desire lessness, no material desire. But spiritual desire that displaces the material desire, or the material desire is the shadow of spiritual desire that's been misplaced. In the a tendency of the soul to be in their relationship with Krishna misplaced. And so that there's affinity for the temporary. That's ignorance. Or passion. I want to enjoy it. Or I want to get rid of it. I want to eliminate it because it's not to my liking. So that disposition is in this following stage, or in the ruchi stage, and the asakti stage, where the mode of goodness predominates like constantly. In the material modes of nature, there's always a competition for supremacy. Even the mode of goodness may be prominent. The other modes may supersede the mode of goodness. However, in the process of bhakti, because the prior stage, just the verse is saying, Tado rajas tamo bhava kama lobha dayasya. This bhava is not the stage of bhava. It's the material bhava or bhava being situated in ignorance and passion is taken away. And then the corollaries, kama lobhadyasya, chita etar anadvidham, without being affected, anadvidham. Why? Stitvam satvi prasidati. So we're ushered to that stage. We don't like work at it, and you build a house and now the house is built. It's not house building. It's not create. It's not doing. Make an endeavor, but the endeavor is not the material. Do this to get that kind of material attainment. It's bestowed. Krishna reveals himself. That's the idea. And as he progressively reveals himself, the darkness is dispelled and so forth. So it's expected that as practicing devotees, this is a very important point, we should become free from these influences of these modes and their corollaries. Say it negatively. When those corollaries are manifest, it means when the ignorance and passion are still at play in a reasonable, significant way. Even it so go to the sattva. When sattva is there, they may, on occasion, but it's rare, because mode of goodness means mode of goodness. While there may be traces, they may periodically surface because they're there. The main predominant manner of the devotee is goodness. And therefore, unless those situations where when Krishna aspires Arjuna to be filled with lamentation, for example, that's Yogamaya. And then to allow for the Bhagavad Gita recitation and so forth. So Arjuna was induced by Krishna's internal potency to lament and say no, or have a different idea than Krishna's idea, which is not Arjuna's nature, but it was induced. So other than those kinds of rare situations where, a devotee appears to be in ignorance, pure bhakti is it's gone. Although traces may be there, so there may be appearances as if. So this is in other words, this is just a stage of bhakti that we can help to see ourselves and to evaluate others also. Are these 6 gone or missing? They may periodically and rare occasions surface, but otherwise gone. So that steadiness of character and conduct is a symptom. It's a characteristic by which one can know how I have progressed or how another may have progressed or not. And then if it's not, then what to do? You continue with the bhakti process because it works, because it does diminish rajas and tamas, and it does expand sattva, and the corollaries are diminished, and in their place comes the positive. It's a science, in other words. Last thing, Prabhupada would use this way of characterizing bhakti as a science again and 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 again. And there are 2 reasons. One, materialists criticize, pseudo-spiritualists criticize devotees. You're just sentimentalists. Impersonalists criticize the devotees. Oh, you're just carrying on like a materialist, calling it spiritual, singing, dancing with ordinary fellows. This is not spiritual. You should sit, do nothing, study Vedanta Sutra, and do meditation and become Brahman realized. And another is in the verse, it's in the purport, the a devotee is not advised or instructed or enjoined to do nothing. We're enjoined to do something, be active in Krishna's service because it's natural. Desire, spiritual desire is natural, and spiritual activity following spiritual desire to please Krishna is natural. So always be engaged, because if you slacken being engaged, the door is open for Maya to come in. And sure enough, Maya comes in. So stay engaged. And even if the engagement is simply chanting the Maha Mantra, if you don't have some practical cooking or this thing, that, and the other thing, service to do, then and of course you can do while cooking or while this thing, in many cases, while doing other things. But the chanting itself is a spiritual activity. Although to some it's, silly or a nuisance or mindless or other aspersions, other ways of giving it a bad name. But it means rather the hearing and chanting, etc., processes of bhakti are the means of conquest over material existence. It sure is a good fortune to be able to receive and be able to give the means of terminating material existence. Although people don't necessarily understand it and they don't necessarily accept it, they don't necessarily embrace it. But to be in a position where that can at least be given, you can't, it's not like you touch somebody with a magic wand and their material desires and material activity gone, and just now they're Shuddha Sattva Bhaktas. So it's not that kind of a gift, but there's something that we have to do, kind of a gift. Interact with the bhakti process. So that's the discussion for this morning. Sitve Sattvam Prasidati. Discussion. All these buttons. Go, just speak.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you. So my question is, I also have been thinking about it, like you mentioned. Prabhupada mentions that bhakti is not sentimentalism.
Yes.
It's a science. But when we try to preach, I can see the feeling of the non-devotees that they take it as a sentimentalism. So what should be our approach towards that they take it as a science and not just, oh, these guys are just chanting, dancing, and
Well, it depends. Continue chanting, dancing, knowing they're being purified. And then by their hearing and seeing the chanting, dancing, the purification will then allow them to see differently. When the darkness is removed, then things can be seen. And another is on the strength of, ABCD, using Prabhupada's language, Bhagavad Gita, to explain why it's not sentimentalism. This is what it is. No, people are not. Bhagavad Gita, just listening to Prabhupada explaining this in a recorded lecture this morning, Bhagavad Gita is for less intelligent people. That is to say, the less intelligent people can't understand Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishads and the more rigorous texts. Therefore, Sri Sudra Dvija Bandhunam. Vyasadeva compiled this Mahabharata and then Bhagavad Gita within Mahabharata for that class of people that aren't so intelligent. So, on the strength of Bhagavad Gita, for those persons that think that this sentimentalism is the chanting, what are some of the teachings found in Bhagavad Gita that says otherwise? You could ask that person, do you accept the authority of Bhagavad Gita? And if they say yes, could you respond to this verse? Could you respond to this teaching, that teaching? The application is not sentimentalism. The application is action with knowledge. Or by Shravanam Kirtanam, knowledge awakens. And so forth. Give scriptural support and go on anyways because the purification is going on anyways. You got it to work. Fantastic.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, there are two questions online.
Okay, please.
One from yesterday's evening class by
Okay.
Leela Karadas Prabhu. How can one perceive distress as Krishna's blessing?
How can one perceive distress? Well, distress is an emotion. The emotion is not Krishna's mercy. The event that causes the distress is Krishna's mercy misperceived. So it's not the effect is Krishna's mercy. The cause is Krishna's mercy, that we receive it improperly and thus become distressed. The distress is because I wanted X and I got Y. Boo-hoo. I wanted X and I got Y. I'm feeling distressed. Or I wanted some happiness and it didn't come. So I'm feeling frustrated. And so unfulfilled desires are the result of the distress. So you could say the mercy of the distress is I must be doing something wrong because I must be applying myself to life wrong because I otherwise wouldn't be feeling distress even with misfortune. I would feel Krishna's mercy rather than feel distress. Taking that position is most unusual in the material world because we want happiness. We know what happiness is. It's XYZ. That's what happiness is. But that's not what happiness is. The material conception applied to our life and activities and the objects of the senses around us and they configure it properly, that's happiness. That's not what happiness is. Happiness is something else. So it's similarly, what distress? The distress is forgetting Krishna. Not the distress is my sense gratification was impeded or my expectation for happiness was blocked and something else happened instead. So it's not the distress is Krishna's mercy. It's the events that provoke that feeling of distress. That's Krishna's mercy. Next.
Second question. Just as it's recommended to have patience with others, what to do if one finds oneself infected by lower modes?
Infected by the lower modes. Well, it's what you do in relation to the person and in your relation to Krishna. The essence is in your relationship with Krishna. You acknowledge in your relationship with Krishna how little control I have of my mind and senses. And therefore, I need your mercy more than the other fellow. Because, and then because the effort can be crowned with mercy, but then one can also consider I may be applying myself effort wise wrongly or inadequately or misguided. So one of the things to do if as that happens is sadhu sangha. And sadhus can help point out don't go left, go right. If we're submissive to when you have the access to good guidance, that's good. That's good.
There's one more question by Amara Devidasi Mataji. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. We know the purpose is to please Krishna, and we know the tools of attentive chanting. We mentally offer activities to Krishna also. Then why do we feel much apathy sometime?
Why do we feel much
Apathy sometime.
apathy? Do the sentence before that again.
We know the purpose is to please Krishna,
Yes.
and we know the tools of attentive chanting.
We have the tools of
Attentive chanting.
attentive chanting.
We mentally offer activities to Krishna also.
Okay.
Then why do we feel much apathy sometime?
Well, the mode of nature. Mode of ignorance specifically.
That's Maharaj.
Okay. Anything?
Coming back to this verse, we have seen that when devotee progress in spiritual life, they tend to be a bit become renounced, and we have seen also then they start to not taking care of the house, husband, kids. It can be
Not
reversed
taking care of.
of the kids and husband.
Okay, family.
Yeah, and the reverse also is true. When a
Too
Mataji
much. Too much.
become
Too little.
yes, how do we advise these devotees?
Well, that to do it to live life properly, one needs intelligence. Where does intelligence come from? Super soul. So you strengthen to how you advise. You're struggling this and that. Step back, reflect, go into the mode of goodness and reflect on what's going on, and refocus on making the connection with Krishna strong, and then I'll be given intelligence, how much, in what ways to invest in the temporary, whether it's family or a career or you name it, temporary. And we need to do, we're in the material world, we need to deal with the material energy, but in such a way it's not entangling. I don't become attached to it or artificially renounce from it, but in an appropriate manner. So that's intelligence to make that discernment. And where do I get intelligence from? So then we could be I'm not there yet club. So that's okay. Welcome to the club. Now, how do you get there? Just that's the question. Your Krishna connection means everything, and so through scripture and sadhu sangha and bhajana kriya, so you do the activities of bhakti as prescribed, knowing I'm not there yet, but you keep striving, and have someone that you can go to that give you some guidance, and then please listen to that person.
The term we use is Falgu Viragya. I think Bhaktivinoda Bhaktivinoda Thakur talk a lot about it, no?
About which?
Falgu Viragya.
Falgu Vairagya, yeah.
False renunciation.
Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.